I'm a storyteller. I'm going to put it that way. I won't tell you what some people say, but this car means, it means a lot to me. I'll tell you why. And it means a lot to me here in Nashville. I moved down here in 1969 to drive for a man named P.B. Crowell. And P.B. was in the trucking business, and he was a huge Tennessee Law fan. So all the equipment he had and his race cars were all painted orange and white. So this paint job goes back to the 60s when the PB race got here at the fairgrounds, and he was a multi-car team owner, believe it or not. In the 60s, he had 3 cars, 47, 48, and 49. Now, for just 3 cars, he ran them every week at the fairgrounds. He got hurt driving 47, and we'd met each other up in Owensboro, where I'm from, and he said, will you come down to Nashville and drive my car for me? When I came down, it was car number 48, orange and white, and the first time I drove it, I won. So that sealed the deal. He said, why don't you move down to Franklin, and you can drive the car every week. So that's, people always ask me how to end up in Franklin, Tennessee. Well, that's kind of the condensed version of how I ended up in here. Franklin's a little south of here. It's a great town. I love it there. Been there for all these years. My wife and I were 46 years married, 2 girls, Jessica and Sarah. And this car means a lot to me. It's a very special car. And I know Ricky's going to get tired of hearing this story. But I won my first race in this paint job, this car, here at the fairgrounds. And it was Mother's Day weekend. My grandmother, who had taken me to the races in Owensboro as a 6-year-old, was in Victory Circle with me. And I had told my grandmother all through the years, I said, Granny, someday I'm going to be a race car driver. And you know, I shut up, kid. You know, nobody believed me, you know. But I knew that was what I knew that was my kind of my destiny. And so some of those postcards you have, if you look over on the right side over there, Granny is standing over there, and it was one of my proudest moments, and I'm sure it was for her too, because there we were at Victory Lane in the NASCAR race in Nashville, Tennessee, and that was a great day for us. Fast forward to 1992, the same crew chief that was my crew chief in 1975, Jay Kelder, he's in the picture as well. He was my crew chief when I won the last race I won in 1992. Now, I don't do a lot of crew chiefs in the process, but it was incredible that we started out together, won our first race together, and we were together when I won my last race. So, a lot of history. These cars, these paint jobs are pretty simple. They're not all graphicked up like the cars today because you had to have somebody to paint this car. We didn't wrap them like they do now. You didn't come in 4 hours, you wrap one up and send it out the door. It took a long time to paint one of these cars. So when you wanted something as tricky as some of these paint jobs are today, that'd be almost impossible to do. Most likely the painter would say, get somebody else to do it, I'm out of here. So try to keep it pretty simple, but I always loved this paint job. All the cars that I had of my own that I owned, I painted them orange and white. The blue numbers, it just really sets the car off, and the blue lettering. This thing, my buddy right here keeps improving like he's been improving. We just might win that Southern 500 come September. So that's what we're planning on. I told him, I said, don't peak too soon. Getting a little better every week. Had a nice top 5 out in California. Was running good in Texas the other night, and they had some problems, but car's getting better and better. This young man right here is a great driver. He's got a lot of talent. The cars are finally catching up with him. So hopefully they just keep making the cars better and he can win some races.
Thank you, Darrell. It's always good to hear from somebody like Darrell, and Darrell's watching and commentating on all our races and does a great job at that. So I'm super honored to drive this car. I'm really glad that Dan and everyone at Fastenal let us put orange on it. You know how partial they are to the blue and white car that we
got blue here. We got the blue.
So everybody knows how big a deal that is. So thanks to Fastenal and everybody coming around here for this. It's you know, last year was the first year that we did the throwback paint schemes at Darlington, and when they said that obviously us being the number 17, I was like, man, we've got to run one of Darrell's cars, and so we did this year, and it was cool that he got his first win in this paint job. And he also got his last win at Darlington. So hopefully that can all merge together so that we can get our first win as well.
Yeah, just quickly talk about the blue, the Fastenal blue. I'm sure you've all heard the story about how Richard Petty's car became blue and orange when he was trying to negotiate a deal with STP. Andy Granatelli told Richard that the car had to be that day-glow orange that STP was known for. And Richard said, no, that's not going to happen. It's got to be Petty blue. And Andy said, well, if it's not orange, we don't have a deal. So Richard, you know Richard, he stood up and he started to leave because he wasn't going to paint that car if it didn't have Petty blue on it. So Andy said, ho, 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 let's sit down this way and let's talk about this. So that's how they came up with what I think is a pretty sharp car, Petty blue, and that nice orange that he had on his cars all those years. So, and that's kind of how I feel about this. I would have probably never would have walked out on a deal over the color of the car, but I sure do like that. That's Omaha orange, by the way. I don't know if there's some paint guys in here, maybe you might know, but this is Omaha orange, and this is blue tone white. So those are the two colors. I remember them so well because I bought a lot of them. Dan, how do you like the car? I mean, we should be getting this guy involved here. How do you like the car?
I think it's a great look. When Ricky first came to us with the idea of doing the paint scheme, I'll be honest with you, I'm from Wisconsin. Prior to Fastenal getting involved in NASCAR, I wasn't that familiar with NASCAR. Obviously, I'm 52 years old, so I heard a lot of names, but didn't really appreciate the names, the tradition, the realness in the people that I've met so far as we've been involved in the sport. It's really refreshing to find people of their caliber that are real people, that you can respect, you can be proud that we're associated with them. And it's a beautiful looking car.
It really is, and I think the idea that Darlington came up with last year, it was the first year of doing what they called a throwback weekend. And I don't know if you saw the Darlington race last year, but they had a lot of the cars that were from the era, I think in the 60s, if I remember right, and these cars now are going to be from the 70s. So this 60s in the beginning, 70s this year, I think they go into the 80s and maybe even the 90s in the future. So, but Darlington won a bunch of awards from the media and from the press for the idea and the execution of the idea. And all the old Hall of Fame drivers were there. All of them much older than I might add. Richard Petty was there, Cale Yarborough, Bobby, Glenn Wood, Leonard Wood, one of the oldest families in our sport. So it was a great idea. They executed it well, and they won a lot of awards for it. So they're going to continue on with it. So it's a great, great program. Oh, one other thing I just say, Dan was talking about the people in the sport. We sell product. When you put your name on one of these race cars, it's not just a car going around the racetrack with somebody's name on it. Everybody gets involved. It's just like what we're doing here today. You guys are customers. You buy the products. And that's what we do. When you spend $1 in NASCAR, most likely you get $1 in return. It's the best investment in sports marketing there is. And it's why the manufacturers, why Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet are in the sport. It's why all these sponsors are in the sport. Fans, all you guys and gals, you're loyal to the product. So when you see the car, you see it on the track, you recognize the name, and you buy the product. And there's no other sport that I'm aware of that sells the kind of product that has the kind of following that NASCAR. Loyal fans, good fans.
That's right. Michael, what do you want to do now? Yeah, well, let's do a picture.
Anybody got any questions on it? It's a lot of big crowd here. Looks like you
know Darrell likes to talk. If you got questions,
anybody want to know anything? Y'all know everything about NASCAR there is to know, right? Ever been to a race? Sarah, we gotta go. You gotta go to, we're in Bristol. Look, it's right up the road. 3 or 4 hours you can be there. And that's where we race this weekend. And you want to see a show? Go to Bristol this weekend. It's right in there with Darwin. Pretty close. Oh yeah. Always start the race. I came up with this crazy thing, boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. Some people love it, some people hate it, but that's what we do. And it works. When you have a little 5, 6-year-old kid, 3 or 4 even, come up to you and his mom says the first thing he ever said was, "Look at him." I mean, what are you going to do?
I do need to let you know there that I was getting ready to come down here. My 10-year-old daughter was asking me, "So Dad, what do you do at these events?" And I was trying to explain to her. And I told her I was meeting Darrell Waltrip. So she gave me a look on her face, the things were registering, and then I said, "Let me rephrase that. I'm meeting Darrell Waltrip." She knew him from the movie Cars.
Yep. I've been fortunate enough to do that. Darrell Waltrip in the movie Cars. And by the way, Cars 3 is in the works. It'll be coming out sometime spring of next year probably. So we've had 1 and 2, and now we're working on 3. And quite honestly, Dan, it's good for me, because a fellow my age, it kind of helped me connect with that younger audience, and it's been really good for me. So if you'll indulge me, I'll tell you one more quick story, and then I'll be quiet. We were at Bristol about 2 or 3 years ago, and I had my coat and towel, and I'm going up to the booth, and I got my briefcase, and I'm ready to do the race. So I get on the elevator, and there's 2 dads and 4 little guys. They're probably 8, 10 years old, somewhere along there. And the dads are going crazy. They're going, "Hey, it's Darrell Waltrip." And finally the dad says, son, you know who that is?" Kid never looks up. He's just doing whatever he was doing. I don't know. Kid didn't care. He said, "Man, do you know who that is?" He said, "He's one of our races here. He's famous." Kid never looks up. He said, "He's Darrell Waltrip in the movie Cars." His eyes got about that big. He looked up and he said, "He's real." So, great connection. All right, I'm done. Well, I could tell you one. No,